You know what's the most devastating betrayal you can experience? It's not when someone else walks away from you, it's when you walk away from yourself. And here's the scary part. Most people are doing it every single day without even realizing it. Self-abandonment isn't dramatic. It doesn't happen overnight. It's subtle. It's quiet. It's the slow erosion of who you really are in favor of who you think you should be. And by the time you notice what's happening, you've become a stranger to yourself. I'm going to walk you through the warning signs that you're abandoning yourself, and I need you to be brutally honest as we go through this, because recognizing these patterns is the first step to reclaiming your life. 1. Your body is screaming and you're not listening. Let's start with the most obvious signs, the ones your body is desperately trying to tell you. You're neglecting your physical health. You're not eating properly, not sleeping enough, not moving your body, not going to the doctor when something's wrong. Your body is literally the only home you'll ever have, and you're treating it like a rental car. You're overworking yourself into the ground. 60-hour weeks have become normal. You can't remember the last time you took a real break. You wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. As if burning out is some kind of achievement, your body is keeping score, and the bill is coming due. You're overextending yourself constantly. Your calendar is packed with obligations you don't even want to fulfill. You say yes to everything and everyone except yourself. You're running on empty, but you keep adding more to your plate because saying no feels impossible. But here's what's really happening. You've convinced yourself that your worth is tied to your productivity, that your value comes from how much you can do for other people, that rest is selfish and boundaries are mean, so you sacrifice your health, your energy, your well-being on the altar of other people's needs. 2. You've become your own worst enemy. Now let's talk about what's happening on the inside. You're ignoring your emotions like they don't matter. When you feel angry, you push it down. When you feel sad, you distract yourself. When you feel anxious, you pretend everything's fine. You've become an expert at emotional suppression, and it's killing you slowly. You're engaging in constant self-blame and criticism. That voice in your head sounds like your worst enemy, not your best friend. You judge yourself more harshly than you would judge anyone else. You criticize your appearance, your choices, your progress. You've become a bully to the person who needs your compassion most, yourself. You're seeking external validation like it's oxygen. Your self-worth depends on likes, comments, approval from others. You need someone else to tell you you're good enough because you can't tell yourself. You've handed over the remote control of your self-esteem to people who might not even care about you. You're saying things are fine when they're absolutely not fine. You've mastered the art of the fake smile, the I'm good when you're falling apart, the everything's great when your world is crashing down. You've become so good at lying to others that you've started lying to yourself. 3. You're disappearing in your own relationships. Here's where it gets really painful. You're allowing unhealthy relationships to continue because you're afraid of being alone. You're accepting treatment you would never want for someone you love. You're making excuses for people who consistently show you they don't respect you. You're people-pleasing like your life depends on it. You've become a chameleon, changing colors to match whatever environment you're in. You agree when you disagree. You laugh when you want to cry. You show up as whoever you think others want you to be instead of who you actually are. You're not speaking up for yourself when it matters. When someone crosses your boundaries, you stay quiet. When someone treats you poorly, you make excuses for them. When your needs aren't being met, you pretend they don't exist. You've become invisible in your own life. You're in codependent relationships where you've lost yourself completely. Your identity has become so enmeshed with others that you don't know where they end and you begin. You're more concerned with managing other people's emotions than understanding your own. You're avoiding conflict at all costs, even when conflict would serve you. You'd rather suffer in silence than have an uncomfortable conversation. You'd rather be miserable than risk someone being upset with you. You've confused peacekeeping with peacemaking, and you're paying the price. 4. You're living someone else's life. Let's talk about what you're not doing. You're suppressing your creativity because it doesn't seem practical. You have ideas, dreams, artistic impulses, but you shut them down because they don't fit the image of who you're supposed to be. You've convinced yourself that creativity is a luxury you can't afford. You're settling for less in every area of your life. less love than you deserve, less money than you're worth, less respect than you need, less joy than you crave. You've lowered your standards so far that you've forgotten you ever had them. You're living on autopilot, going through the motions without really living. Days blur into weeks, weeks blur into months. You're busy but not fulfilled. You're moving but not growing. You're existing but not thriving. You're hiding your authentic self because you're afraid people won't like the real you, so you present a watered-down, sanitized version of yourself. You dim your light so others don't feel threatened. You make yourself smaller so others feel bigger. You're not asking for help when you desperately need it. You've convinced yourself that needing support is weakness, that struggling alone is strength, that asking for what you need is too much. So you suffer in silence while opportunities for connection and growth pass you by. 5. You're numbing instead of feeling. Here's how you're numbing the pain of self-abandonment. You're seeking distractions constantly. Netflix binges, social media scrolling, shopping, eating, drinking, anything to avoid sitting with yourself and feeling what you're actually feeling. You're isolating yourself when you most need connection. You've convinced yourself that you're protecting others from your problems, but really you're protecting yourself from vulnerability. You're building walls instead of bridges. You're not staying firm in your boundaries because you're afraid of the consequences. Someone pushes against your limits, and you immediately cave. You say no, then change it to yes when they push back. Your boundaries have become suggestions instead of requirements. You're compromising your core values to keep the peace or gain acceptance. You know what's right, but you do what's easy. You know what you believe, but you say what others want to hear. You're trading your integrity for approval, and it's a terrible deal. Here's what most people don't understand about self-abandonment. It doesn't just hurt you, it hurts everyone around you. When you abandon yourself, you can't show up authentically for others. When you don't know who you are, you can't offer genuine connection. When you're not taking care of yourself, you can't truly take care of anyone else. You lose self-respect, and when you don't respect yourself, why should anyone else respect you? You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you're constantly sacrificing your needs, others will learn that your needs don't matter. You become resentful, all that giving without receiving, all that people-pleasing without appreciation, all that self-sacrifice without recognition. It builds up, and eventually it explodes. You become bitter toward the very people you've been trying so hard to please. You lose touch with your intuition. That inner compass that's supposed to guide you gets completely scrambled. You don't know what you want because you've spent so long focusing on what everyone else wants. You don't trust your instincts because you've ignored them for so long. The most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. If you recognized yourself in these signs, and I mean really recognized yourself, not just intellectually acknowledged them, then you're at a crossroads. You can keep abandoning yourself and watch your life slip away, or you can make the decision to come back home to who you really are. Coming back to yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's not about becoming narcissistic or uncaring. It's about becoming whole so you can show up as your best self in the world. It starts with paying attention to your needs instead of dismissing them. It starts with speaking your truth instead of telling people what they want to hear. It starts with setting boundaries instead of letting people walk all over you. It starts with treating yourself like someone you love instead of someone you're trying to fix. It starts with honoring your emotions instead of suppressing them. It starts with choosing relationships that energize you instead of drain you. The most radical thing you can do in a world that profits from your self-doubt is to come home to yourself, to stop abandoning the one person who's going to be with you for your entire life, to stop betraying the person in the mirror. You deserve to live as yourself, not as who you think you should be. You deserve relationships where you can be authentic. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to have needs and express them. You deserve to be seen and known and loved for who you really are. But it all starts with you refusing to abandon yourself one more day. It starts with you making the commitment to come back home to who you've always been underneath all the people-pleasing and perfectionism and fear. Your authentic self has been waiting patiently for you to remember them. They're still there, underneath all the masks and compromises and self-betrayals, and they're ready to welcome you home.